I'm switching us to live. I think people can see us now. Say something? Hey, that was enough. You didn't have to say anything. You just had to do that. I
I'm
think,
stop making random noise on the internet.
or don't, or make more weird noises. Maybe this podcast episode isn't us explaining about us being teenagers, but giving everyone else the feeling of being a teenager. Just the angst and uncomfortableness that you felt all the time. We're just going to sit in that for an hour. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. We talked about this before. Last time you got the honor of announcing everything. Can I do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome everyone to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Devon.
I'm Ryan.
And Alan's not here. We miss him. Come back, Alan. Anyway, on this show, we make each other watch movies that we each haven't seen before. Now, typically we had a plan for this week. The movie of the week was going to be Jackass. However, Ryan and I had seen Jackass before. So what we decided to do was we decided to take a slight pivot. We're going to take a little bit of time to do something that Ryan and I like to do when it's just the two of us. And instead of going over a specific movie, spending a lot of time with a specific movie, we are instead going to do an internet-friendly top 10 list. We are breaking tradition a little bit, but there is no Alan around to stop us. Alan, you can't stop us. We're doing it anyway. Do you know what else we're doing? Typically on You Have to Watch This podcast, we start by talking about what we've been up to and been watching in the media. But you know what? Today, also going rogue. We're doing none of that. I'm in charge. This is my small exertion of power. So today, instead, we're actually just going to hop right into our original or our brand new top 10 list of top 10 teenage obsessions. So these are going to be things that we were obsessed with as teenagers. Trust me, Jackass plays a part in this. I'll leave it up to you guys who are watching to decide which one of us was more obsessed with Jackass. You can probably guess. But we will go ahead and start our countdown with our number. So it's going to be like last time. Ryan and I will alternate. We have 5 each. It will be 10 in total. That's how 5 times 2 works. So for his number 5, Ryan, take it away.
So first off, I
You
changed.
You are very soft, by the way. You may want to turn your volume up on your mic. I can't hear you.
How about now?
That's much better.
How am I?
Yeah,
much better. Okay, sorry. I changed audio devices at the last second. I do apologize about doing that on you.
You are
Mr.
all good.
So my number 5, you said was MTV?
Nope, that is other way around.
Nope. Other way around. Fast and Furious?
Yep. I put them in order, okay. Not in rank.
Okay, that's fine. That again, that works. Okay, sorry. Yeah, 1 to 5. Okay, got it now. We're good. Okay.
You're all right.
So yeah, Fast and the Furious. So this started a lot of obsessions for me. I was 15 when it came out. So I was like right at that, kind of at the right age. Like I was right before being old enough to have a license. I was already starting to get into cars a little bit. No one in my family was really into cars. Like no one was a mechanic. No one spent an afternoon changing their brakes. That wasn't my family. But I would randomly come across the Speed Channel on like days I stayed home from school sick or during the weekend, and I would catch, like the garage shows on Speed Channel in the 90s and in the early millennium of like the guy that would work on cars, and he would like explain what he was doing while he was doing it. And then Fast and Furious came out, and kind of gave me an explanation as to why I saw some weird cars for the past couple of years up until that point. Cars that I couldn't place because they looked, had like odd bumpers and they had giant wings on the back, but they didn't look like supercars. So why did they look like that? It got me going online, looking up car cultures. It was through that I learned about Japanese car culture and JDM. And that started an obsession that still exists to this day. My dream car right now, and I know this sounds silly, is a 2003-2004 Nissan 350 Z GT. what sucks now is that if I were to want to get one of those, it would have like 200,000 miles on it or 150,000 miles on it. Some 20-year-old has changed out the suspension 13 times, 20 different sets of wheels. The engine probably has maybe 3 original components on it. So, um, yeah, like this this movie started my like interest into cars, which eventually turned in an interest into racing, which is why now I'm a big F1 fan right now. Um, Now that obsession with this movie though went to 3. So Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift, and then I pretty much stopped watching the movies because they turned into more action than they were focused on cars. I did miss 4 though. Four was car focused, but I missed out on that because of my me being very critical of and mad about the movies not going the way that I wanted to.
Fair.
Um, but yeah, through this movie introduced me to Vin Diesel to a point because Pitch Black, I believe, came out before this.
Yeah, I did.
And I remember Vin Diesel and Pitch Black. And then through this, there's another movie on here that has him in it. Which this movie is why I was interested in that movie. And then that movie opened up a bunch more stuff. But like the Chronicles of Riddick, then from Pitch Black in this. So like this is like the beginning of like as a teenager Vin Diesel being a big actor for me.
That's
So,
awesome. And
yeah.
so I think we may have taken slightly different approaches to our list, which is good. It's a good counterbalance because I know you. I know you quite well. I know that like this is like a foundational movie for you. Like you had mentioned
Yeah.
that one of the movies we watched the other week was foundational. So is this movie. Like this, this makes total sense to me and I'm not surprised to see it. Uh so then to completely abruptly switch topics, we'll go to my number 5, historical fiction movies. And in on the screen, if you're watching, I put the worst one of them all, The Patriot. When I was a teenager, I was
Mm.
literally obsessed with historical fiction. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, whether it was The Patriot, whether it was Platoon, whether it was, oh my gosh, what was another one? Another example, any Vietnam movie, Full Metal Jacket. If it took place during an American war and there was some big name actor doing everyone else's role in it, I was obsessed with it. Uh, I nowadays understand that that is either slightly cringe or that's just a hobby that I need to get back to when I'm in my late 50s. But like, no, just don't do it. No,
No, do it now.
do it now.
Here's the thing. Cringe culture can go run off a cliff. Straight up. Because when we were growing up, like there wasn't cringe.
No.
There was that was awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was meant for like interactions. People that were into hobbies that were like that are cringe was just he's into something weird. Like cringe turned the whole well he's into something weird or he's really obsessed about that into into like a limbo, could be positive, could be negative, depends on context, who's saying it, like what the end goal of what the statement's supposed to be. Like there's a lot of gray area in that. When things started being cringe, it's straight negative.
I
So
don't
if you're
know.
worried about it being cringe,
Yeah.
stop and just do it anyway.
So this is and this is why we took slightly different approaches to our list. Yours I think are going, and I've seen what a lot of yours are. I think yours are like
Yeah.
things that are foundational to you. Mine
Yeah.
are all of the things that I was obsessed with as a teenager that I no longer interact with in any way, shape, or form. Ask
Okay.
me how many historical fiction movies I've watched in the last 5 years, and unless you and Alan made me watch it for the podcast, I haven't touched the genre at all.
Okay.
Maybe Hacksaw Ridge is like the closest thing, but I probably watched that movie
Yeah.
like 6 years ago now. Like it's just not a genre I interact with, but this at the time was my favorite. Braveheart. I guess most of what Mel Gibson was kind of doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because there was another one. There was Mel Gibson in Vietnam. That was just a patriot, but in Vietnam. We Were Soldiers.
We
Is
Were
what I'm thinking.
Soldiers. That was the one with the Native American.
Yes.
Was it Navajo?
Are you
Like
thinking Code
the Navajo
Talkers
language? I'm thinking of Code Talkers. I'm sorry. Yeah,
or Wind
yeah.
Talker?
I'm
One of
thinking of
those two. Yeah,
Wind.
that was
I'm thinking
listen.
of Wind
Also,
Talkers.
another
Yeah,
great movie, another classic
yeah.
by Devon, the historical fiction buff. Thank you
Well,
for
okay. So
bringing up my childhood.
it may not be exactly historical fiction, but I feel like when we were growing up, the epics from the 60s and early 70s, like the Ten Commandments, Ben Hur, like those movies were on a lot throughout the
Yeah,
year. Like TNT would show them, USA Network would show them because it was easy for them to get the rights. And historical fiction blends into that because they were made epically. Like The
yeah.
Patriot has those scenes with the battles. And I would take and say that like the end battle scene in The Patriot was basically a era like example for where Hollywood was in making movies.
Yeah.
It was kind of similar to like the huge epic scenes in 10 Commandments where you had like 10,000 extras pouring over a hill.
I mean, that's okay. I will give you that. I will also counterpoint that with The Patriot has the line, and this is from Heath Ledger to someone I can't remember. He goes, "Can I take a seat?" And she goes, "It's a free country, or at least it will be." Ryan, I want to throw a TV out the window thinking about young Devin listening to that line and getting so jazzed. I was so jazzed for that.
Patriotism was something that it was baked into us
It
when we were
was.
younger.
It was.
Like I was in Boy Scouts. I got my Eagle. Like patriotism was something that was like cornerstone to me when I was younger. That's like my definition of patriotism has changed in the last 30 years for myself.
Can I?
I still feel as strongly about it, but um young 16-year-old Ryan for his Eagle Scout project um set up flag donation bins of flags that were
That's great.
torn and weathered. And I also got our the troop I was in to volunteer to go to graveyards and
Hmm.
change out the flags on veterans' graves.
See, that's
And
awesome.
then and those flags then I made sure were retired appropriately,
Yeah.
not just thrown away.
No.
I worked with the local legion. We did a ceremony. They were all properly burned. I had invites to local congressmen and senators for like the state of Pennsylvania. I had other people from like the local municipality there, and that part of me is still there. There are other
Hmm.
things that have changed, but like the core of myself or like the whole historical fiction thing what you're talking about, like that part of me that was there with you at is at that time would have been just as jazzed with you about that line, thinking like, oh, that's cool, corny but
But
cool,
cool.
like
Yeah.
that type of thing. Because like I truly feel, what's the worth of having sacred symbols in our country if we don't treat them as sacred symbols?
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Can I tell?
yeah,
I'm
but
gonna tell before I'm gonna
the
abruptly
Patriots
switch
part
after
of that.
this. I'm gonna. It
Yeah.
is. I'm gonna abruptly switch after this because I don't want to talk about it. But the most embarrassing story I'll ever tell you. I one time wrote a poem to President George W. Bush and performed it on TV. Moving on swiftly so no discussion happens. Ryan, you're number 4, which is number
Yeah,
2 on your list.
which is number 2 on my list. I am going to my list. I have our live feed up on my phone off of my Wi-Fi, so I don't like drag down my feed.
There you
So
go.
I'm trying to get okay. Ghost Ship. Oh, I love Ghost
Oh
Ship.
no, flip
Okay,
it,
so
flip it. It's the other side.
flip it. Sorry, Triple X.
There it is.
You keep on going for the pot of money. I'm spoiling the whole thing.
You're okay.
Okay. So Triple X. This movie came out in 2002 when Jackass came out around the same time. I remember doing my first public movie review about this movie in my art class.
What? How did? Hold on. You got a story? Tell. How did this happen?
So, I went to the local VOTech, to Bethlehem area Vote Technical School for commercial art. So, like graphic design plus the like actual like not just the hardware implementation of like cutting it out and like putting it up, but like actually like in Photoshop making logos, making layouts, how to make a proper billboard design, stuff
Mhm.
like that. Um and this this movie. Um so Mr. L, our teacher, I'm not gonna say his last name because I don't have I don't know if he'd want that out there.
He's watching.
He was one of my favorite teachers, and every Monday he would ask us. We would spend like the first half of class just talking about the weekend, and I had just seen this movie, and I was I hadn't turned 17 yet because this is 2002, so I hadn't turned 17 yet, and or I can't remember because I don't remember the month that this movie came out. So I was either uh I I had either just turned 17 or I was about to turn 17. And he asked us how the weekend was, and I was so jacked up. I was like, I hit my desk and I'm like, I saw Triple X. It's amazing. um and like I was just going off about how like I said that, and he looked at me. He's like, "Well, tell me what it's like. How is it? Like, what's." And I went off on this like teenager rant about how great the movie is because it has all of the elements from the Summer X Games in it, and how like any movie who can incorporate all of the X games into the storyline and still have a somewhat cohesive like plot is amazing. And I was talking about just like how like great Vin Diesel was in it and just all these other people. Um and yeah, I think back about it a little bit, and I get a little like, that was a little awkward, but I really don't care at this
Listen,
point.
no, do not honestly, and I'm genuinely believe this. Like, do not ever be like embarrassed about you being passionate about something. Like, unless it's like I don't know, unless it's like you like hit somebody over the head with a copy of Vin Diesel's abs or something. Like you were that excited about it, man. If
Well, see,
you're
yeah.
passionate about it, do it, man. That's awesome.
Well, so here's like core teenage Ryan. Okay, I was a big new metal fan.
Mm,
Like, as much as I was into punk and as much as I was into like normal rock, Slipknot, Mudvayne, Rammstein, Korn, Limp Bizkit, you can go down the list. I was like huge fans of. I had a jean jacket from Walmart that was kind of like a jean jacket that was like kind of like a bomber jacket
oh
type
yeah,
thing. It wasn't cool. It was not cool. I'm not trying to make it sound cool. I had a Mudvayne patch sewn onto the upper part of the shoulder here
that's
that
awesome.
just said, "Can you dig it? Can you?"
Okay, hold on. You have now made me want to include an element into this list I didn't think of it till now.
Okay.
Every single one of our entries, we're going to include the movie. We're also going to slip in something embarrassing that we owned, wore, or were proud of. That one is yours for this one. I've got one for my
Okay.
next one.
Okay. Um. So, like, the opening had Rammstein in it,
Yeah,
and
it did.
it was just like I saw that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Something that I like. Something that I like. Like, this movie was made for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there were movies, like Fast and Furious was out. I'd already seen that, like that. Like I didn't really feel like that was for me, but I really, really enjoyed it. This was one of the first times I saw a movie, and I'm like, this was made for me. This was made for my age group. This was made focused to me. My mom hated that type of music. My dad always would laugh it off and say, "Well, maybe if I was your age, I'd enjoy it. I understand that, but I don't like it now." Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then like, you've got like, like the jerkiness to it, all of the, X Games people showing up in it, for, like doing different things. Um the cameos showing up and like
Oh yeah.
being part of the movie. Um and just yeah, like I watched this movie when I got it on DVD. I watched it under every language setting
Good.
with a different language's subtitles. So like I literally watched this movie in Dutch with French subtitles.
What was the best combo?
Um, that's the only one that I can remember actually doing.
Good.
But I did it more than once, and I sat through and watched the whole thing
That's incredible.
because visually the movie was entertaining enough for me without needing to hear them talk or understand what they were saying.
That's so funny. I love that. That is a solid number 4. All right, so my number 4 is it's me. By the way, it's me. I'm the one that loves Jackass. I'm the one that requested it and loves it the most. Jackass was my obsession for an obnoxiously a long amount of time. But with some of these obsessions, you have that like some of them you just kind of wander into, right? Some of them you're not entirely sure. Like my historical fiction, I'm not entirely sure what the first movie was, where I saw it, why I got obsessed, or what happened. In Jackass, I can pinpoint the exact millisecond that I became obsessed with it. And I can't remember if it was in a movie or one of the TV shows. I can't remember where this gag was and if or where this bit was. And Ryan, if you remember, you let me know. But at one point, I remember flicking on the television and I hear, "Hey everybody, it's Steve-O, welcome to Jackass, and this is human fishing." And then he takes a fish hook and goes, "Argh," and impales the side of his mouth and gets dragged along by a boat. And I went, what the fuck am I watching? I want all of this. So much so that not only was I obsessed with Jackass and what they were doing, but my cousin and I decided that whenever I was up, we were going to start our own version of Jackass called Rayoke, which stood for Random Acts of Kindness. And all it really involved was just us jumping off things with a skateboard nearby, not under us, just near us because we couldn't skateboard, and filming those things. And then one time we ran into a store, asked if we could borrow some gum, and then ran out of the store. That was all we had done. That was our Jackass. But I loved them. I was obsessed with this. This was like a style of comedy and like a style of humor that like I feel like got not sanitized, but like just turned into something slightly different as things, because I feel like now the modern equivalent is like what there's that like prank show that Alan quite liked for a long time that he saw live. Are you like I feel like that's now the kind of version of this show that happens now, but like
Practical Jokers.
that's it. Practical Jokers is
Yeah.
kind of like the modern
So
equivalent of this.
anything that gets anything that becomes popular becomes capitalized.
Yeah.
That might be a made up word. Yes,
No, I
it's
think you
totally a
got
made-up
it.
word. It becomes sanitized,
Yeah.
commercialized. There we go. Those are better words. I myself loved Jackass when I was a teenager.
Did you?
I watched every episode. I watched this movie when it came out. I watched the second one when it came out. My dad thought it was funny, so that made it easier. Um, my thing with Jackass was the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anything like that on TV up until that point. That was that extreme in the pranks that they were pulling. And the reason why for me it worked and why a lot of the stuff after it hasn't for me is the same reason why I love the show Top Gear and Grand Tour. It's because the people who are on camera have a bond that goes beyond just the show.
Yeah.
Like these guys are friends.
Most of them.
Jackass, these guys were friends before.
Mhm.
They were all professional skateboarders. They all knew each other. Even the ones who weren't skateboarders, they were friends. They were around. And so that's where, to me, there's a connection between everyone doing it that like you can't recreate through just getting actors together and reading a script.
No. I mean, that's certainly true. And the other part is that, like, there was almost an innocence to it in a way that there was, like, an innocence to the internet as well. That, like, nowadays, like, I mean, I know there's, like, there's, like, prank TikTokers or, like, prank YouTubers.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe I'm just older and grumpier, but, like, the tone of it seems different. It seems more, like, weirdly, yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's an undercurrent that's less innocent than Jackass. I might have to go back and rewatch all of them to, like, make sure I'm not making it up.
Well, like the worst Jackass skit that I can remember is one of the guys had a thing about blood,
Yeah.
and they made him think that he was sprayed with blood.
Yeah.
and he was really freaking out, and he was like being all upset, and like it was the first time that I saw the show and thinking, oh, he's really mad.
Yeah.
Like he's actually really mad. And I think that was season 3
Mm-hmm.
that they did that. And of course, by then the government was you had a lot of, I mean, it's the truth, like social conservative members of Congress um and the Senate were trying to pull strings at MTV to get the show to be shut down.
Right.
Um because it was just one more thing for people who didn't like teenagers to point to and say this is corrupting our youth.
Yeah.
The same thing that they do now, and the same thing that they did before, is the same thing they said about Elvis, and the same thing that they said about about Elvis and it, well, what's the type of rock music that came out in the 70s? Um, bands like Seven and Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like psychedelic rock. Um, so it was no different than what was happening before, but the show was getting shut down. I don't know after that interaction how things would have gone, if they would have kind of like toned it down from that skit after or not. The movies are definitely just what they did on the show, which is what I love. Um, but but yeah, I mean, I I didn't want to like start up my own show. I wasn't at like that level with
Oh,
it.
we were there.
But and I remember like making sure that I didn't miss an episode, and then I watched Bam Margera then too, like his
Yep.
show.
Yeah.
Because of Jackass, I made sure to watch that.
And he was playable in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely something about it. So Ryan, what is your number 3?
My number 3, and by number 3, you actually mean 3.
It's got
Yes.
it. There's no other option.
It's got to be. It's right in the middle. I can't screw this up. Resident Evil. Again, another movie that came out in 2002. Again, I didn't realize I was so on the nose when it came to all of this.
You're like this
So,
year.
yeah. So Resident Evil, like, I like zombie movies before I saw Resident Evil, but like 2002 was ridiculous. So, and all of these movies are part of like the foundation of like what I like in entertainment. So, um, yeah, that okay. Not all of these movies, but 28 Days Later came out in 2002 as
Yeah, it
well,
did.
and I remember seeing that on HBO. So I probably saw Resident Evil first, but there's because I was looking things up and I looked up 2002 and I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot of movies I remember loving as a teenager. I mean, obviously I was a teenager, but still, like there was a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that came out that exact year. But Resident Evil was awesome because I remember the game. I never played it before prior, but I knew a lot of people who I was friends with who loved it, and we were all looking forward to it. And even though after it came out, you did have people who were upset with it because it wasn't exactly like the video game. It didn't follow the exact same storyline. But this is the movie where I developed the opinion of I don't care if a movie based on a video game does exactly what the video game does.
Yeah.
They can take the characters and the storyline and then decide, for a movie, this may not actually work. So let's take these characters in this situation and just make it fit for a movie.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And I'm not going to defend the sequels at all because I don't care about the sequels. I've tried I tried to rewatch the second one about 6 months ago. I couldn't get past the scene where I think it's Victoria, or I forget her name, walks in to the police station and yells and everyone stops and stares at her. And like
Fair.
the fisheye lens thing that happened, I'm like, no, I'm done. Just click. I'm not watching this. But like this movie, the how they depicted the zombies in it, the scene where they're in the hallway with the lasers,
I was gonna bring that up. That is like
the defense mechanism.
yeah.
that was like I was just my jaw dropped
Yeah, well, same.
like
Like, looking back, it's
during
not like
that
that
scene.
intense of a scene, but like, it was for me, it was the acrobatics that of the
Yeah,
person survived, but then also that moment that one guy like dodged and ducked a bunch of it, and then it came at him at a grid, and he just goes, "Oh shit!" And like,
yeah,
because he knows like, I can't get away from this. Like, that's all I got.
yeah, and like it just that, and then you've got right before then talking to the program that's like protecting them,
Yeah.
and like she's like, "You're all gonna die down here,"
Yep.
and then of course like her having amnesia with the other guy having amnesia, and then like slowly remembering what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it just it, it hit me as a teenager, like seeing this movie, like how awesome it was. And when
Yeah.
you rewatch it, I still have that feeling about it. So I can't say definitively if it's actually a good movie or not objectively.
Fair, but I mean, it doesn't matter
And
if it's
that's a
good for
statement
you.
for
That's
all of
enough.
these movies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
like and I also love the fact that, and I cannot remember her name, the actress who's in this, who's also in Fast and the Furious.
Yes,
I love the fact I was like, hey, she's awesome. I saw this. I'm like, ah, that's the actress from Fast and the Furious.
that's very
That's
cool.
awesome. She's in this. I like Fast and the Furious. I really like this. Like, that's cool. Like,
Aw, yeah. See, that's cool. All right, my number three is okay. So my number three isn't necessarily a thing, isn't a one thing, isn't a single thing, but it kind of is. So my number three is Adult Swim from Cartoon
okay.
Network. Now, Adult Swim for me wasn't ever just like a time at night where they showed things that I quite liked, right? We've all been there for Nick at Night where they show I Love Lucy or they show The
Hmm.
Honeymooners, right? We all saw that. The thing I liked the most about Adult Swim was really two things. First off, that it was so freaking late at night that staying up to even get to it felt like a chore in a family or in a household whose family went to bed at 8 p.m., staying up until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to catch a glimpse of this stuff was part of the magic. The other part of the magic is you got to stay up that late. You were exhausted. You were delirious. You maybe had a couple of cheeky late night snacks that nobody saw you have, but you know what? Who's gonna care that you grilled a cheese at at 12:30 p.m. And then you got to the content of Adult Swim, and it was absurd. I mean, it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, it was Squidbillies, it was stuff that you wouldn't ever see or I would never have been exposed to up until that point. And every single time I interacted with Adult Swim, I just went, "What am I watching? This is awesome." And I don't know if it was like my lack of understanding, but I never quite caught on to what Adult Swim's programming was. So every time I tuned in, it was just this like new, like just fog of madness and obscurity until I like fell asleep watching it in the living room.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember watching it for Aqua Team Hunger Force.
Yeah.
Um, See, I get a lot of okay, yeah. So Aqua Team Hunger Force
Mm-hmm.
was a big one, but Harvey Birdman, Attorney at
Yeah.
Law,
Yeah.
and Space Ghost Coast to Coast
Also incredible.
were my two shows.
Yes.
Um, those were my two shows. Aqua Team Hunger Force was something that like I would stay up for too as well, but it wasn't as important to me as the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I remember watching like on Cartoon Network, I remember watching the original Justice League cartoon
Right.
and all of the ones that connected to that in the mid to late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had like C Lab 2021.
Yep.
Um yeah, and then I believe was Metalocalypse part of that?
Metalocalypse was certainly a part of this.
Okay, yeah. So like those were all the stuff that I always stayed
Yeah.
up to watch. And I remember Adult Swim. I think it was 11:30 at night,
Yeah.
or like 11 or 11:30 is when most of this started, and like I never really cared for like as Adult Swim went on, like it was good, but then it got like there was a point of Adult Swim where after Squidbillies
Mm-hmm.
became a thing, it went weird.
Yeah, it really leans into the absurdist.
And some of the live action stuff, I was just no.
Tim and
Like
Eric.
I tuned in to Cartoon Network to watch cartoons.
Yes.
I did not turn into Cartoon Network to watch anything live action. So that was really like a huh? Like Space Goes Coast to Coast was different because the humans were like the guests. And that was fine.
Yeah.
And Space Ghost was being played like a madman, which I
He
loved.
was. And there's Brack,
Like,
who's great.
and Brack, and then you got the Brack show
Yep.
after that, which was fine. But I really liked, I really liked Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And when Paramount Plus first came out, I believe it was Paramount, and they brought on their like Cartoon Network side of things, like you could watch. Oh, no, was it HBO? It was either HBO or Paramount had all of the episodes of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And starting that show up and watching the intro put me right back in my bed, in my bedroom in the late 90s. Like, I remember watching the show, all my lights were off, the volume was low, so I wouldn't, like wake up the parents because my bedroom was like right across the hallway from theirs.
Yeah.
And like the only light in the room was from the TV, and then seeing the asteroid spin
Yeah.
with like just it put me right back into that spot
Ugh.
again, being like 12, 13 years old.
It's so good. Look, I knew there was going to be like a certain amount of crossover in our lists.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, what is your? It's going to be number 4, but also number
Yeah.
2.
Number 2. Okay, so now we're getting to Ghost Ship.
Yeah.
This movie has probably one of the best openings of any horror movie
I've never
that
made
I've
it
ever
past it.
seen.
I'm going to be honest. I love the opening. It freaked me out
Yeah.
so much. I haven't watched the rest.
Okay. Well, it's on my list coming up for the next like couple
Good.
months. So you're gonna see it.
Good.
Ghost Ship, again, another movie that implemented new metal into
Mhm.
it. So after the opening, okay, you get you get to know the crew of the salvage ship that finds the old cruise ship. And when they're out on their salvage ship going to where this other ship is, they're blasting Mudvayne.
Ah.
And so that was amazing. And then they have like a radio communication come over, and the captain leans over, or the helmsman leans over and turns down the stereo, and it made it even better because the character was listening to Mudvayne.
Nah, that's cool. So it's
Which
diegetic.
means that this
Yep.
so I mean, like, this is awesome. That means that this movie is taking place in like the now, the
Yeah,
real,
right.
which I loved. So like it wasn't part of the soundtrack of the movie, it was part of the world of the movie. And even though yes, it's your typical like haunted ship thing, ghost spirits, there really isn't anything bigger than that. I still found it I still found it fun. I didn't find it really that scary. It was just entertaining more on like the thriller aspect of things rather than horror. Um and it's one of those movies that every time that I come across and I see that it's available for streaming or it's like being advertised, because I never really search for this stuff. Like it comes up as like a suggested thing. I'm like, oh cool, this is available. I save it to watch for later. This just happened last week. I saw that it was available on I think HBO, and I'll be watching it here probably the next few days.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ugh, I can't wait to watch this one. It, like I said, I love it because I've seen the opening. The opening sticks with me. I can picture the opening right now. never made it
Yeah.
past the opening. I was like, nope, this movie is going to be too much for Devon. I've like seen Saw, I've seen like all of these movies that I'm sure do much worse for, like
Yeah.
fewer payoff. Nope. Beginning stuck with me, too
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, no. So the opening is literally the when it comes to like scary and
Yeah.
gore and shock value, the beginning is the worst. That opening scene is the height
That's the
of
thing.
the whole film.
It really grabs you. It really
Yeah.
does. It's like, what did I tune into?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this one. My number 4, I don't have an excuse for it or really much of an explanation. I don't know why this happened. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but I became obsessed, Ryan, with
Yeah.
VH1's I Love the 80s.
A lot of people did. Don't feel bad about
I
that.
watched every episode several times. They had albums. I got the albums of I Love
Yeah.
the 80s. I listened to 80s music all of the time. Like, for a while, I would tell you with a straight face, I was born in the wrong time period. I should have been born in the 80s. And like, hate it. Absolutely hate that I was like that. I don't know what was happening. I was just, if it was Cyndi Lauper, I mean, anything 80s. I watched 80s movies. Like, I immersed myself completely in the culture. And that was what, like, that's all Teen Devon wanted. I would have told you that new music sucks. That basically, once the 90s hit, they stopped making anything any good. For a period of 5 years, I turned into like an 80-year-old man. I was watching historical fiction movies discussing the intricacies of Hitler's plans during World War II and how they failed, and pining for the 80s. I don't know what I was doing as a teen, but this was part of it. I can't tell you why I was so obsessed. I just was.
What okay, so what was the year range that you were a teenager? And let's start at like 14, 15, 14 and
So that
ending
would have
at
been,
18.
I mean, my year range is really easy. My year or my age is the year plus 10 minus 2000. So I was 14 in 2004 and I was 18 in 2009. So like,
Okay.
or 2008. So like that, like those like 4 years, those were like pivotal to me for this. That's actually why all of the tech in our opening thing was all like of that era. Like there was like a Tamagotchi, there's a flip phone, there's like that robot dog everyone was weirdly obsessed with for some reason.
Yeah.
But it was that era specifically.
Okay. So mine was literally from the year 2000 to like 2004.
Okay, so we like routines and like slightly like
Yeah.
I
So just
began
slightly shifted.
you ended.
Yeah. So uh no, I can kind of understand that. Like I Love the 80s was an awesome show. And then I remember when 2000 happened and like I think it was like like a month, maybe not even a month into the year 2000, VH1 started advertising I Love the 90s, and they were making a big joke about that, the fact that like it just ended and we're doing the show now.
Mm-hmm.
um no, but I Love the 80s was an amazing show. There was a lot of cool stuff when it came to the 80s. I faintly remember the year 1989. Just barely.
That's
I remember
incredible.
that year.
You did it.
Um, but there was a lot of carryover from the 80s into the early 90s when it came to pop culture.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that like you got that obsessed with it. Like
Obsessed.
that
That
obsessed
I mean
with it.
it was bad. It was bad. I also know that this style of show does not happen anymore. Where they're just like, here's the 80s. Here's like a bunch of B-list comedians reacting to this thing in the 80s. And they'll just be like, oh, Forrest Gump. Or I guess it would be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I remember
Yeah.
that. And someone would go, run, Jenny, run. And then it would be like a clip of it. And like, that's like all they, like, there was like no substance to what they talked about. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I could watch this show today. But yeah, obsessed with the 80s. There it was. That's
Mm.
my. I feel like this shows a lot of confessions from Devon. We're going to quickly move on to this one. Ryan, what is your number
Yeah.
one?
MTV.
Tell
And
me.
this is a stand-in though. So there were only like 5 channels to 6 channels that existed in my universe when I was a teenager. Okay. First off, it was MTV for Total Request Live because from 2000 to 2004, like I can't imagine not being obsessed with that show, or
Mm-hmm.
not obsessed, but at least wanting to like watch it at after school and seeing where the different music videos lined up. And I think part of that was that I get out of school and I would listen to like the most popular songs at that given time because I really wasn't a radio listener. So like that's where I would get like, like, oh, I want to see where Corn or Limp Bizkit lands on the top 10. Like I want to see,
That's
it's
cool.
like where it is. And I'd always be mad when like Mudvayne or Corn or Three Doors Down or Fuel or any of those bands would be like robbed of the number one spot by like NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys or Christina Aguilera or
What?
like one of the top 40 pop stars.
How many times
So
did
like
Mudvayne win out to a top 40 pop star?
never. I
Right.
don't even think any of their music videos ever got more than like 8. Like
Now, for our younger listeners at home, tell us what it was like watching MTV at this time, though, because I know it best as the Teen Mom channel.
yeah, no. So this is before the reality TV portion of the show of the channel took over the channel. This is right before that cusp. Like 2003, 2004 it started happening, and then after 2004 is when like it completely switched over. I feel I could be off by a year or two, but it was pretty much the middle early millennium is when it switched over. So I remember watching MTV, watching Total Request Live, and then watching Cribs, where you would have like a 30-minute show of going to celebrities' homes, which now we know. And when you were watching, you kind of got like a suspicion that it really wasn't their homes. It
Yeah.
was either homes that they rented the show, or it was like their parents' home that they were
Mm-hmm.
showing, and like not their actual place. Um, because I remember watching. It was some hip hop artist. I forget his name, but I remember he's like, "Hey, welcome to my crib," and I remember looking at it going, "I know he's rich. I know he makes a lot of money." But this is the home of someone who owns a record company, not
Right.
someone that
This isn't him.
not someone that sings on them. Like, there's no way. So, yeah, there was that. And then you had the different reality shows that were starting to pop up, like Next and Room Raiders, where you would literally like they would kidnap someone,
Yep.
and then they would have like a girl or a guy like rummage around their bedroom and
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out the type of person they were, and then decide who they were going to go on a date with off of what they found in their bedroom.
Wild.
And yes, black lights were involved.
Of course they were. So was this
Yeah.
also the realities, like the time in reality TV where like the Osbournes? Was this also in Osbourne?
Yes, the Osbournes were also part of this as
Yep.
well. In fact, I think I took a screenshot of a list of the shows that were on during the time that I was actively watching this stuff.
Know that the
And
Osbournes almost made
so
my list.
Punked,
There you go.
Cribs, Viva La Bam, Pimp My Ride. I loved that one. The Osbournes. Uh, yeah. So those were pretty much the shows that were like the ones that I always wanted to like not miss. And then they would actually like start playing music videos in the
Yeah.
morning. You'd wake up, you turn on MTV, you listen, you'd hear the popular music playing for that time period. So like I'd wake up, I turn on my TV. It was if it wasn't on MTV already, I would switch it to MTV and I'd get ready for the day to get to school.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, there's also a stand-in because like I said, there were like maybe 5 or 6 channels that only existed in my universe, and MTV was the only one that fit my age.
Yeah.
So other than this, I was watching Discovery Channel, TLC, or History Channel, and I was trying to find a way to send you like a picture
Mm-hmm.
that had all 4 of those channels lumped together, and I couldn't find a way to get everything to like line up properly. But like if I there were days where I'd get home, I'd watch total. I would I would watch Total Request Live, Pit My Ride, and either Jackass or Viva La Bam or Cribs or whatever show would come next. I would go on to our local cable stations like schedule. It was like Channel 4, I think it was for us. And I would go to see what was playing on 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 the 3-hour block that those other three channels had. So I could line up, okay, so TLC or Discovery Channel has on How It's Made, and then Discovery Channel has a documentary about snakes. That's cool. I want to see that. History Channel is doing a thing about World War One, about Verdun. I'm definitely watching that. TLC has a medical show on about medical oddities. I'm definitely watching that. And then I'd see when they would fall into the schedule, and so then I would know which order I was going in to watch it, and then how late I would be up to catch everything.
That's so good. That's so of its time. That doesn't. I mean, 'cause it's all streaming, right? You watch what you want to
Yeah,
watch, and when you're done, you switch it.
yeah.
And like,
Like
not that that's bad.
I've
I'm
got
not like old
yeah,
man yells at cloud, but like that
yeah,
particular, like I'm gonna watch the TV guide or look at the TV guide to see what I watch, what channel I flick to, and when. Just not happen.
yeah. And it would be on like, and then if there wasn't anything on that I could find on that, or if I had a block that like wasn't like filled by something, then I would see what was on Speed Channel or ESPN. And those were like, if I could have called up the cable company like when I lived on my own for a little bit and
Hmm.
been like, these are the 5 channels I want.
Yeah, jeez.
Can I please just pay for these channels?
Yep.
That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, no, as soon as MTV turned the whole station into the real world,
Yeah.
that's when I gave up on MTV completely. So like 2005, like around the time when like Jersey Shore started,
Yeah.
because like Jer- Jersey Shore took off, and then like 16 and Pregnant took off,
Yep.
and then Teen Mom took off, and I'm not gonna get into, because I really don't have an opinion on the importance of those shows or if they were good or bad. I honestly couldn't care about the conversation, so I don't have an opinion on that. Um, but I used to watch The Road Rules in the Real World as a preteen and as an early teenager to death.
Yeah.
And each season had like 26 to like 27 episodes on it.
Sounds right.
That's why I don't watch reality TV show like reality TV anymore. I tried getting into Survivor when that first started. I got through the first 2 episodes and I'm like, this is stupid. These people are acting like they're starving and they probably are starving, but behind the camera there's some guy probably eating a Big Mac.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, no. No.
Know that like reality TV in that way almost made my list because like Survivor and like American Idol, those are big deals for me.
Yeah. I remember watching the first season of American
Yeah.
Idol and liking it. Like I thought it was cool. I thought the setup was cool. But then when I realized that they were going to do it every year,
You're like, all
and I
right, too
remember
much.
having a conversation with my parents. I remember turning around because like I was on like our love seat that was up against the wall. So like I was laying on the love seat, looking straight ahead at the TV, kind of off to the side. And I I remember sitting up and turning and looking at my parents and going, if they have an American Idol every year, they're going to run out of talent in like 5 years. How long are they expecting to run this show for? Can't they do it every other year or maybe every 3 years?
It's very fun. I love that
And look what
take.
happened. That's exactly what happened.
It's kind of what happened. This is totally fair. Okay, so I forgot we had mentioned we were going to do this, but before we move on to my number one, what is another
Yeah.
embarrassing thing you owned as a teen?
Oh, okay. So that is the jacket. I know that it was embarrassing now, but I didn't when I was younger,
Oh yeah,
when
that's
I was a
it.
teenager.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
I through new metal got into punk music for
Okay.
a little bit, and I dressed like it. So like skeleton shirts, band shirts, wallet chains, ripped jeans. I had a
Yeah.
pair of red Chuck Taylors that were high tops, and I would
Yes.
and I would and I would wear. This is my favorite outfit. So this is what I'm telling you is the most embarrassing thing I owned was this whole outfit.
Okay.
And anyone listening who knew me in high school is gonna go, yeah, I probably remember that, or be like, yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna start the shoes and work my way up. Left foot, red Chuck Taylor high top sneaker. Right foot, an American flag pattern Chuck Taylor high top.
Oh, hell yeah.
The leg that had the red Chuck Taylor with the high top on it, a knee-high Boy Scout sock that where it's like the olive
Oh,
green and the
yeah.
red on the top. I would wear that pulled all the way up. Other leg be a white sock pulled up as high as I could go. The baggy shorts that were popular at the time, so they were almost board shorts where they
Yep.
went way below the knee.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason why is that when you saw me, you would see the two sneakers and then like a green leg and a white leg
Yep.
and then just that. But it wasn't shorts. It was either like zip off hiking shorts. So where you'd zip off, but it was like the lower end. So like I zipped them off into like high capris.
Nice.
Like almost, okay? 2 wallet chains, if not 3.
Where did you put them all?
On the one side, just different heights.
Yes.
Studded belt,
Of course. Of course.
okay? I had a skeleton shirt that was accurate, and it actually had the scientific names of the bones written on
Oh.
them. It was like a screen print from like an old anatomy book. And because of how thin I was back then, when I wore that shirt, it was fitted. It wasn't loose and baggy. It was fitted. It wasn't tight. It wasn't
Mhm.
tight, but it was it was like fitted. Like the chest, the ribs lined up with my ribs. So
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And then I had my dad's early 80s burgundy, metallic burgundy. So like the dark red, almost purple.
Yeah.
Izod, not Izod, but the
Izod.
symbol with the alligator.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Is that Lacoste?
Lacoste. Okay, so it had the alligator
Yeah, yeah,
symbol,
yeah.
like the case that a track jacket from them from the 80s, burgundy.
That's very cool.
Okay, okay. White collar, white cuffs, and on the bottom, white zipper. And it had 3 stripes going down. The center one was white. The other 2 were like a lime green.
Oh, that's good. On burgundy, yep, that's what you want.
On burgundy.
Yep, you want that.
I wore a necklace that was like the ball necklace that like clipped together,
Yeah.
like the chain you'd pull on that. And I thought the ZZ Top logo was the coolest thing.
Yeah, buddy.
So I found a ZZ Top keychain and I took the
Ugh.
emblem off and I put that on the necklace.
Oh, that's incredible.
And I spiked the hell out of my hair.
Of
Like
course you
I'm
did.
like
Of course you
oh
did. We all did.
like like the the yellow and green gel they'd sell at Walmart that
Yeah.
had like the real funky people on the front.
Yeah.
And I would grab it and I would literally like twirl my hair into points.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, so if it wasn't that, it was a pair of camo BDUs that I would wear
Okay.
that I cut the bottoms off to capri length and I safety pinned the bottoms back on. And I had like the local punk shop was called Boot Girl, and I
Mhm.
had their I had their patch safety pinned to the one cargo pocket. I had a straight edge. I didn't really like. I thought, oh, straight edge, that sounds cool. And like, oh, okay, oh, no drugs, no drinking. Oh, I already don't drink and I already don't do drugs. I guess I'm straight edge. I like the music.
That's funny.
So I had like a straight edge patch on my thing. I was an idiot. I was an idiot.
You genuinely, had we met when we were both teenagers, you would have intimidated me and we would not have talked. I would have been too scared. I would have saw you coming in your burgundy jacket with the green stripes with your ZZ Top chain and would have been like scared and like not wanting to interact, but knowing that you like wore
I
the symbol of the guys that were in Back to the Future 3 for some reason.
I was a dork, and yeah.
That's so funny. All right, before I do my number one, I'll share. Because you shared a whole outfit, I'll share 2 aspects of
Yeah.
mine. They were never worn at the same time, but they also were big parts of my teenage years. The first one, and this feels so like again, I thought it was so cool at the time. I thought I was so cool, and I was so deep, and like you don't even get it, guys. It was a necklace that was like a thin, like chain necklace, like
Yeah.
a just thin silver chain. On it was a surfboard but on the surfboard, and this is it, is the yin yang symbol. Do you get it? You don't get it. Nah, you don't get it. I'm so deep and like there's like
I
so many emotions.
I was a 311 fan too. So
Yeah.
yes, I do get it. I
Listen,
do
in
get
me are two wolves, right? So there was that one, and then the other one was every day for I think an entire year when I was 16, I would wear jeans, I would wear a t-shirt. Over top of those jeans and t-shirt, I would wear a black XXL hoodie. 3 times bigger than what I usually wear, 3 times bigger than me. This was not the size I was, but I would wear a hoodie. I wore it every single day. I got it as a Christmas present. It was worn in January, in February. It was also worn in May, June, July, August. I would not take it off. It needed to be on me at all times. I don't know why. That's what I ended up wearing to the point where by the time I finally decided to give it up, it was like faded gray. It had been so worn and so washed. We had nicknamed it among my friend group the crack jacket because I felt like I went into shakes whenever I wasn't wearing it. So,
that's
yeah,
that's funny.
it's gross. It's
Yeah.
teenager stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much yeah, that's pretty much what it all is.
So, very quick, let's do my number one. Like you, Ryan, my number one isn't a specific thing. It's more of like a stand-in for a thing. And in
Yeah.
this time period, we as Americans, and probably the rest of the world too, had this weird obsession with movies. And it happened a couple of times. I don't know how it started, I don't know why it started, but the movie would happen, it would show it in theaters, it would release, you'd get the DVD, but then Ryan, a couple of months later, they'd come out with the unrated version of the movie. This is what they didn't want you to see in theaters. This was like
Okay.
15 to 17 more minutes of the movie. There might have been an extra pair of boobs in there that they weren't allowed to show you on the screen. So, you know what? We're going to get the unrated version. I remember my preference for unrated versions of movies was so strong, I wouldn't even see them in theaters. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to, and I'm used to 30-year-old virgin is the one for this one.
Yeah.
When it came out in theaters, I'm like, no, I'm not going to watch it in theaters because they're going to release the unrated version. There's going to be more boobs in that. So I'm going to watch that one. Like, I would not watch the theatrical cut of movies with the preference of watching the unrated version. And they did this for everything. American Pies had it, 30
Yeah.
odd versions, all those stupid movies like the disaster movie and the epic movie and like the scary movie. They all had these versions. Needed
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, so I couldn't have cared less about those
Mm,
because here's the thing. They did that for Scary Movie.
yeah.
And I remember going, oh, what's the unrated one
Yeah.
like? And it really wasn't that much different
No, it's
for
always
me
it's always like
from what I
worse.
was
They like threw
expecting.
in an extra like
Yeah.
5 minutes they didn't need.
Yeah. So um like the only unrated one that ever came out during that time period that I actually still own it. It's in my CD booklet of stuff that's probably close to 30 years old. No, not 30 years old at this point, but like close to 25 years old at this point. Is the unrated cut of the remake of Dawn of the Dead that came out in 2004.
Sure.
This was a movie that also might have made this list, but I was trying to go through and find stuff that was around the time when Jackass like came out. So Dawn of the
Hmm.
Dead didn't make this list, but this is another movie that's like really important to me. They came out with an unrated version, and I was thinking to myself, like, what like unrated version? Because I always thought it was something that like these cheesy comedies
Yeah.
did. That like I only enjoyed watching in the company of other people.
Hmm.
Like I only really ever laughed at like American Pie when I was watching it with friends.
Right.
So I was like, what, unrated, like in a zombie movie? What's this? And then I got it, and it was I rented it from the 48-hour video that we had down the street.
Yeah,
Not a
buddy. Yeah,
blockbuster, the
buddy.
48
The
hour
48-hour
video.
video.
And so I rented it from there and I got it home, and like there's a few scenes in that are different. Like there's one particularly that I actually really wish was in the original, but it definitely would have made it more than an R. One of the characters she's pregnant and she gets bit. she's hiding it.
Hmm.
Her and her boyfriend are hiding it. She turns into a zombie. She gives birth. In the movie, they show enough to make you kind of grossed out.
Yeah.
In the uncut version,
Oh
Devin, do
no.
you remember the? Did you ever have health class where they showed you the birth of a kid?
Oh no.
It's not. It's not that graphic. I don't want to sell it to the point of like that level, but like, imagine if someone was undead and a zombie and they gave birth,
Hate it. Nope.
and what would happen
Yeah.
in that situation?
Wow.
Like, what's happening to the human body as a
Yeah.
zombie internally, and then that all coming out with the kid.
Awful. Absolutely abysmal. Nope. 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 Do not need to see this first movie. Don't need it. No.
There are the Dawn of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Land of the Dead, with John Zakes Romano. I totally screwed up his name.
I
Um, he's in the menu. He's the actor in the menu, Mr. Sunshine, Doctor Sunshine.
you know
You
what?
remember the menu?
I do remember that. I just can't remember this person.
Yeah,
John Leguizamo. That one.
John Leguizamo. Yeah,
That's
him.
it. Yes.
So,
Okay.
so like he's in Land of the Dead, and that's another movie that like I think that had like a an unrated cut as well, but I don't think I ever saw that one because I like the original cut enough that I don't need to see more.
Well, Ryan, we are in fact ignoring the real reality of the situation. The only definitive, actual good unrated versions of any movie are the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings. I think that those are actually the definitive version of those films.
Which were the highest grossing movies during this time period
And
anyway. So,
despite
well, I
my
mean,
like weird
for
voice, I do think
my
that. Like, I
time in
think
high
this is
school.
like that's the unrated version done well. Like and I think that might have been what started my obsession because I like watched Lord of the Rings, and then I watched the extended cuts and went, how did they not show all this?
Yeah. So, before we end
Yes.
this, my as a teenager going to a movie to see
Mm-hmm.
my most memorable, my two most memorable moments of going to see movies as a teenager. I went to go see one of the Lord of the Rings with friends.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was, but I remember sitting down watching the movie, and there was a big guy next to me. Like he was like not like I mean tall,
Yeah.
broad shoulders. Like he was just a tall guy. Like he was a tall guy and he was bald. And I think he was wearing a kilt. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he might have been wearing a kilt.
I love it.
We're watching the movie, and something happens between Frodo and Sam. And this dude starts crying.
Oh.
And it was like my first time in person seeing someone who was really intimidating and then seeing something like that happen. And then being like, oh, okay. And then just kind of like going through life and being like, yeah, no, guys cry. That's
That's
something
just
that
it.
happens.
That's
It's
it.
fine.
Oh.
And then my girlfriend at the time, we went to go see the movie Wrong Turn
Wow.
with one of her friends.
Okay.
I did not know what that movie was at the time. I knew that it was a horror movie, and I wasn't entirely in the mood to watch a horror movie, but like I was with her and her friends, and like, yeah, sure, well, let's go see Wrong Turn. So we go see Wrong Turn, and she lived on the other side of the Lehigh Valley at the time, and so we went to a movie theater that I hadn't been to before, and then we had to go from the movie theater back to her friend's house, which then drove us through the woods. So like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
driving through like, rural Pennsylvania wooded roads
Mm-hmm. There it
after
is.
watching the movie Wrong Turn.
Oh.
No.
Oh, that's so good. All right.
Yeah, so those are my two favorite movie memories when I was a teenager of going to the movies.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna say I have I have one. I have two. I have two. First one is more silly. It was me seeing Anchorman in theaters for the first time. It was one of those. It was the right movie, the right place, the right time, the right age. I went with the right people. We would not stop laughing. We thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like to this day, I think I've never like laughed that much in a movie theater at all. So
Yeah.
awesome memory. The other one was Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. I was obsessed with The Hobbit as a little kid. And then literally the opening part of that is you see the Shire, and it was fucking exactly the way I pictured it in my head. And I was like so in awe. I was like, how did they get it so right? Like from just the get-go. And like just that moment will always stick with me of like, wow, like this was special. So yeah, two magical movie moments. So now, Ryan, we now know more about our teenage selves. I think we're both a wee bit embarrassed for ourselves and for the other one. And if you're watching, I hope you are also a little bit embarrassed for us too. Uh, that's all we have this week for You Have to Watch This podcast. If you would like to watch more of Ryan, me, and the other guy who shows up as well, feel free to watch us anywhere that you're listening to us, anywhere that you get your podcast. We are on YouTube quite frequently. In fact, almost every week. Same thing for Twitch. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Anywhere that you get your podcasts, we are on. So that's going to be things like Apple Music. It's going to be things like Spotify, all of that great stuff. We are going live generally every week. So tune in to watch this happen. Otherwise, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Devon.
I'm Ryan.
And we miss you, Alan. I didn't purposely not name you earlier.